Oh, we're still recording. Fuck. Oh yeah, my hair's fucking awful, mate. Like, I was gonna get a haircut today, and
I was gonna get a haircut today as well.
So I'm gonna do this for the for the audio podcast. I look like a fucking idiot. It's the First Reaction Podcast. First Reactions Podcast.
That's the intro. Good morning, gamers.
Welcome to Gaming Week.
It's Gaming Week.
Epic gang shit.
Welcome back to First Reactions, everybody. Episode number 19.
If we got monetized, which we don't, we would be instantly demonetized. Apparently, they
What, for doing gang signs?
No, I went gang shit.
For saying shit, yeah, makes more sense.
For saying gang shit, I think we definitely get demonetized. Apparently the YouTube algorithm looks into the first minute or so of your video,
right? And
as long as you don't swear in that first minute,
really,
it won't pick you up for demonetization.
Right then,
it's almost like YouTube have gone, all right, listen, if no one the
watches
advertisers are going to check more than a minute, so as long as you don't swear for the first minute, you're okay. We can get away with it, epic gamer style.
Epic Minecraft Let's Play up to a minute, and then it's just like
it's a Christian server up until a minute, mate. I don't know. I don't know if I'm really loud in your ear. You're insanely loud in my ear.
Idiously. Shall I turn myself down?
Yeah, you're lefty boy. Turn yourself down a little bit.
This one.
Yeah. Your lefty boy chooses the one on the right.
Don't know my left and right. No, I do.
This is all going in. This is top quality content. This is what you can expect on the First Reactions podcast.
The only.
That's possibly the longest intro we've ever done.
If you've listened to previous podcasts, you'll get that meme by now.
If this is your first podcast, then I can only recommend you to watch other podcasts.
If this is your first podcast,
just fuck
off.
The
only recommendation I've got is just watch someone else. What are you doing watching this, listening to this podcast? Don't bother.
My recommendation, just don't watch it, mate. You've got no hope. Oh, fuck me. I'm nearly crying. That was
an epic gaming moment.
My brain's so autistic that I
crying.
I thought of what I was trying to say, but then I was like, I could be saying this and this would be funny.
This would be funny, so I'm going to say it instead. What a start. The only 5-star podcast would do such a start. No, just why did I say it like that?
The only 5-star podcast would do such a start.
I was trying to do
just restart?
No, this is good.
Just cool.
No, this is sick. I was trying to do what you were doing by thinking of something funnier, and then it just came all Yoda style.
Oh, fuck.
So, First Reactions, episode 19. Welcome back.
There definitely wasn't a cut there where we tried to figure out what the fuck was going on with the audio.
We've already said epic and gamer and gaming week far too much this podcast. That's because we've been playing Minecraft and watching PewDiePie's Minecraft series.
Yes,
which is pretty epic.
It's so good. I was playing with Jamie yesterday, and he was like, can I just ask, what is the epic gamer thing? He's like, I've stopped asking you and Will where you get your memes from because I never understand what the fuck's going on. So I was just going with it, but I had no idea why you were saying
what
epic.
Jen does now. If I say something stupid, she's just like, oh, another meme.
Oh, what a good one.
She's like, what are you laughing at? Just a meme, don't worry about it.
You wouldn't understand.
I'm laughing about Kyle's running into Area 51 with a Naruto run, actually, if you wanted to know.
Mate, that was actually one of the topics that I wanted us to talk about, was the Area 51 thing. Because, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's weird. But as well as that, before we go on to random rambunctiousness again, that's a good word. We're going to be doing a little bit more of a meme about movies, whereas we're going to be reviewing movies that we haven't seen, but one of us has seen them.
So it's probably going to be the title of the podcast, because not that we'll get many views from it. It sounds like a clickbaity title that might work, and I've never heard anyone do it before. So, if I've seen a movie and Will hasn't, or vice versa, the other person's going to try and pretend that they've seen the movie, and come up with points of the review that are oh.
Yeah, kind of like tinfoil hat stuff, maybe.
Yes.
We might get into that territory.
If you're familiar with the podcast, Which, if you're not, then I already told you to fucking
Just go
stop
somewhere
listening.
else.
Go to another podcast. No, if you're not familiar, Tinfoil Hat Theory is, as it sounds, just a fucking made up theory that we do. That's completely like, it's not like this could be a thing.
Nah.
It's completely wrong, but we know it's wrong.
Imagine if one day we do a tinfoil hat theory
it's
for
right.
something like Spider-Man, and it like something really random happens. we just look,
ends up being
we
the
just
villain.
look at each other like,
Mate, we
First
do
reaction.
this. First reaction podcast. Yeah,
only.
we got to go the whole podcast without explaining that. Okay.
Well, the real OGs know.
The real
so we don't
OGs.
need to explain it. Don't need to explain it. But did you have something you wanted to go into before we do the movie reviews?
I did. I wrote this down because I know that you like to read my notes.
Sometimes.
So read after intro. What does it say?
Says Megan Rapinoe is an arrogant football player.
You could have just made up 2 words to start off with. I mean, I know what Megan is, but
Megan.
like what?
She's the American women's team football captain.
She does seem
with
pretty
purple
arrogant,
hair.
to be fair.
I saw a clip before. There's some kid that.
By the way, this isn't what I wrote down.
Yeah, he didn't
Will's
write
just
that.
decided
He
to
wrote,
do his own.
he wrote something. I don't really want to say it, so I just came up with that.
I'll say it in a second.
The
Don't
same
worry,
kind
gamers.
of like you can see how it was kind of linked. Kind of gamers, don't worry.
Gamers know.
Yes,
They don't yet,
a
but
little.
they will.
They were at some awards ceremony for like Team of the Year or something in America. So a kid went up to her with a ball and a pen. He wanted her to sign it. She didn't look at him once, not for half a second. She was like looking down, grabbed the ball, signed it, was like looking around like that, and just handed him back the ball like that.
What?
And then he walked away.
That's big, grim.
Yeah.
Was she
I saw that literally just before I came here. That's why it's fresh in my brain.
maybe she was worried, I don't know, about maybe something happened before and she was a bit
I don't know.
paranoid about it and stuff. Because you've got to remember, like, we've had these conversations before
We have.
about, like, YouTubers, and then, like, we were talking about, I think, Gareth Bale, wasn't it? Or was it Messi? Someone. Gareth Bale.
Gareth Bale and Spencer FC.
Yes. And how people don't tend to view them as humans because they're celebrities. And obviously, like, if something bad had happened to me and I was a celebrity and someone just went, sign a football, and I've signed millions of footballs, and then I was like, something bad had happened, or like someone had just said, oh, you're like, your mum might be visiting, and maybe
Your
you've
mum.
fallen out with your mum, and like you don't know what's going on in
You
her
don't
life,
know.
and she's like, shit, maybe my mum's here. She's like worried. I don't know. Just you don't know what's going on in that person's life.
don't.
She does seem like a really arrogant person, though. From all
she's
the like
pretty good at
interviews and
football,
stuff
though.
that I've seen, yeah, she seems pretty sick. Seems full of herself, but she's
Yeah.
sick. I guess you have to be a certain level of full of yourself if you're going to be that good.
To be
"Yeah,
like
mate,
the best
I'm
in the world at anything, really, you have to be pretty obsessive,
Like
and
Ronaldo.
full on confident about yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a He's a
Nah,
Nazi.
he's a nah.
He's a Nazi, but he's fucking good at football.
Yeah.
So.
So doesn't matter.
Just like Hitler. He was pretty good at football.
pretty good. That's why he
and
moved.
We cheers to that.
That's why he moved to Argentina. Conspiracy episode coming soon.
It is actually coming soon. Well, we say coming soon. Don't know when the
At
fuck
some
it's going to
point.
happen. There is going to be a conspiracy episode happening at some point. Okay, so should we move on to the first topic that I wanted us to talk about?
Go on then.
So I wrote down, should women be allowed to vote? So
Wait, is this an actual thing
yeah,
that we're going to talk about, or did you just write that down to like put me off because you know I read it?
bit of both.
Bit
but
of both.
I think we should talk about
Go
it.
on, then.
There's a reason why I want us to talk about it, but I want you to start the topic of conversation.
Did you see this from Joe Weller's podcast? Didn't they say something about this?
I think they touched on this, but it's not because of that. I'm pretty sure.
Right. Well, what do you mean? What do you mean? Talk about should women be allowed to vote? We
Well,
do memes and stupid shit.
Should they?
Well, yes.
Okay, good. I was just waiting. I thought
that all you
just-
wanted?
I thought you were just going to be like, you were like holding it off because you were eventually going to be like, well, no,
No,
obviously.
obviously they should. Why would? No, don't take that out of context.
So, I was just trying to get you to say that.
Out of context, though. I listened to a podcast PewDiePie was on the other day because he was in my he was in my
it's
recommended.
so good.
And they brought out some, I think it was Japanese whiskey or something, and it was from a brand, and they asked PewDiePie what brand it was, and he went, I think it's something like Nika, and then they put on the screen, do not take this out of context.
Really? I wasn't watching because I was playing Minecraft whilst I was listening to it. So
Very epic.
But no, the reason that I want to talk about should women be allowed to vote
Go on, then.
is obviously I think they should be allowed to vote. But there was, I think, a Vice video on a woman that is advocating for women to not be allowed to vote because in the Constitution it never specifically states that women should be allowed to vote in America. And she was coming up with reasons and like comparing women to like obviously you have to be a certain age to be able to vote. She was comparing women to people that were under that age threshold. To this guy who was
some nut jobs in the world.
So there was this guy that was talking to her saying like, well, obviously I think women should be able to vote, and she was like, well, you're an idiot. So
straight up.
What I don't understand is I feel like there's just one simple argument to give her, which is, so you don't want women to vote? No, I don't want women to vote. Okay, well, if you don't want women to vote, surely you should have a vote and try and win that to make sure women don't vote. She's like, yeah, that sounds like a really good idea. We should vote on it. Okay, but you can't vote on it because you're a woman. And she's like, oh shit, I can't make this thing that I want to happen because I wouldn't be allowed to vote because I'm a woman. That's the whole point of
democracy.
Yeah, democracy manifest. It just really triggered me. And then I thought if I wanted to talk about it, but also if I wrote just should women be allowed to vote down, that you would be like, right then.
I was a little bit taken aback, to be fair. First reaction's taken a new route.
The thing that I didn't think was going to happen was you fucking talking about a random footballer called like Megan
Rapinoe.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Like, it's because I just watched it before I got here.
Like,
it was just fresh in my brain.
So autistic.
No, it's just fresh in my brain.
Yeah, I know, but who reads that and goes, I'm just going to say something completely different?
Because she's been in the news recently for like political reasons. Like she'd just like give shots at Trump and stuff.
Reference.
So
just still a bit autistic.
Put two in my brain and got 4.5. It's close enough.
Close enough. There is something I want to talk about though, a Spider-Man related thing. Before we get onto the movie reviews and whatnot, it is about. I'm not sure how like legitimate. We both did a okay sign from Joe Weller for the audio people. I'm not sure how legitimate this is, and it's taken out of context of a longer video. But it's a video that this guy High Top Alex, who has talked about. Spider-Man, and he doesn't really like the MCU Spider-Man. I think he said a lot of bad things. He didn't like Far From Home at all.
Okay.
And I watched his review on it, and it really triggered me, so I stopped watching. But
I was going to say that triggered you.
It did. But I understand his reasoning. It's the same reasoning that I was explaining. Basically, that Peter like isn't seen as being poor, and that he is poor in the comics, and they've missed core aspects of Spider-Man in the MCU.
Okay.
Because they're trying to make him Iron Man Jr. So I get where his anger is coming from. I just don't agree. But so this video,
that seems like a pretty weird thing for them to be like triggered about, and that be like the main reason.
Yeah, they've not included this one part of Spider-Man, so I don't like the whole film.
Yeah,
like, it's pretty shit. Like you can be like, okay, this isn't the Spider-Man that I necessarily want, but it's a sick film.
Yeah.
Whereas I think it's a really good Spider-Man and it's a sick film. So this video is about the Sony and Marvel contract and the stipulations of it. So at the moment, they've come to an agreement that Marvel can include Spider-Man in the MCU as long as like certain things are met or whatever.
So Sony actually owns Spider-Man then?
Yes.
Okay.
So they've given some of the rights back to Marvel.
Renting him out?
Yeah, I think Sony own the majority of the rights still.
So what he's saying is, Spider-Man's a rent boy.
Spider-Man's a gigolo.
Bro, what does High Top Alex say?
Spider-Man Gigolo. So High Top Alex, this isn't actually his video. This is from a guy. Basically, I did quite a bit of research into this. The most research that I've ever done for a first reactions thing. And the guy that makes this video has made lots of videos that were wrong in the past about similar topics. So this might not be true. But it makes sense when you start to think about it and you start to notice all the similarities. Well, you'll understand when I show the video, but it's not really similarities, it's more like differences. I'll just play the video and it'll make a bit of sense.
Go on then.
To put it in practical terms, this means that if Sony had put, for example, a comic book faithful Mary Jane Watson or Harry Osborn or even Venom into Spider-Man Homecoming, they would have given Marvel a stake in those characters' movie rights. If Sony, for whatever reason, didn't want the deal to end when it expired, but instead took the Spider-Man license back, they would have lost the right to use Mary Jane, Harry Osborn, and even Venom. By giving Marvel a stake in them, these characters would be disputed, and therefore frozen, unavailable to either Marvel or Disney. The way around that is by creating new characters with traits of the originals for use on film, something Sony are legally allowed to do. This is the reason why all the Spider-Man related characters originating in the Marvel and Sony co-produced Spider-Man movies differ so much from their original comic book counterparts.
So basically what it's saying is Sony went, okay, we're not going to give you a license for the comic book versions of these characters because we want to still own that. We will let you use the names of the characters as long as you change some of the traits.
Okay.
Some of what he's saying doesn't really make any sense because he's saying, like, if they break the terms of the contracts, then neither of the parties would own Spider-Man, which makes no sense.
That makes sense.
But I understand that the small part, which is you have to change the traits of the characters.
Yeah.
Like Sony's like, we own it. Change the traits of the characters, and you can have it.
So if they used Doc Ock or Green Goblin, they have to make them look different, or like
they have to be
couldn't
different.
Be a doctor.
So the Vulture is a really old guy in a green spandex suit.
Originally.
Yes.
Okay.
They made him fucking
Epic.
not very old guy, just a dad. He's not even a granddad. He just looks a bit old.
A little bit.
In a fucking robotic Vulture suit.
Yeah, much cooler.
So it's much cooler, but it's not like the comics.
Not the same.
MJ, nothing like the comics. In the comics, she's a white redhead.
Yeah.
So literally completely different in Homecoming and in Far From Home. Nearly forgot the name of the fucking film. Ned is completely different, I'm pretty sure, in the films as well, from the comics.
Okay.
He's also not a main character in the comics, but he's completely different in these.
I thought they made Ned just for the movies. I didn't even know it was a...
He's based off a character in the comics,
Okay.
but he's basically his own character in this. I think Ned is the character of someone else in the comics. I'm not like too clued in on every
Ned
single
Stark.
character. Ned Stark. Crossover event. Game of Thrones and the MCU.
That would be sick.
That would be pretty sick. Can you imagine Iron Man in the fucking Game of Thrones universe?
Yeah.
As a Stark.
He would just wreck the White Walkers. Well, I mean, White Walkers didn't really have much of an impact anyway in the end, but I was going to say that they'd have even less of an impact
we
if Iron Man
should
was
not
there.
talk about
Yeah,
Game
let's
of
not.
Thrones.
That
'cause
triggers.
We'll get
Like
so
how
triggered.
MCU stuff triggers you. The last 2 seasons of Game of Thrones really triggers
Yeah, I mean,
me.
it triggered me.
To
and
the
I
point
don't
where
even
it's
care
just
about
not
that
even existing in my brain anymore. So Spider-Man.
Yeah, let's just keep on talking about Spider-Man. But it starts to make more sense when you get into it. So, Uncle Ben is just briefly mentioned because that is a core comic book staple that Sony are like, you can't use that.
Had his initials in their suitcase, didn't they?
Yeah, so they've got references to him, but he's not a character, he's not mentioned, they've not done the backstory because that's a core comic book staple. Aunt May being MILF Aunt May.
MILF May.
MILF May, am I right? So we cheers to that. That was a really nice
That was a nice
cheers. Yeah, MILF May isn't a thing in any of the comics. They did that just for the films, and I think that's because Sony were like, you can't have the complete rights to Aunt May, you can change her a little bit. So they made her young instead of an old Aunt May.
And then they're going to sell MILF May's bathwater to thirsty MCU fans.
How long were you thinking of that whilst I was
Just the past 10 seconds or so. You could probably see it in the video. My eyes would just go...
Bathwater, MILF May.
That's a Belle Delphine reference to those of you who don't know.
If
so that would be a bit weird for me to just literally think all out the top of my head. I had to cover my tracks a little bit.
You just randomly thought of
Bathwaters.
Aunt May in the bath. Like, maybe we could sell her bathwaters. Without any reference, that's fucking weird. With reference, it's pretty weird, though, to be fair. Not on your behalf, just Belle Delphine
Kind of.
fucking being weird and selling her bathwater and people buying it and it's selling out. What the fuck?
I know.
I mean, I wasn't meaning to talk about that in the middle of the Spider-Man conversation.
Sorry, my fault.
I mean, it was interesting to talk about the fucking perverts in the world.
Have you seen any of her videos, though?
I've only seen them through Will
They're
and E.
weird.
You know, like he obsesses over Belle Delphine and puts him on his titles.
I watched the video where she spends the day with a dead octopus.
I watched that through Will and E, but yeah, it's fucking weird, mate. But there is so many like counterparts that basically people are getting really annoyed that aren't being included in the MCU.
Okay.
And now that this has come out, I feel like this guy's just jumped on the bandwagon and made up this video saying, "Oh, well, here are the reasons for it, why they've not included it." When really, I think the MCU just went, we need a completely fresh new take on Spider-Man.
Which I think
it really works.
Brilliant, yeah.
There are a lot of people that have gone oh my god, this makes so much sense. So this High Top Alex guy said, so we can never legally get a classic Spider-Man flick while this deal is a thing. Which I don't think...
Is that a bad thing? I don't think it is.
I like this new iteration of Spider-Man. And if the deal eventually... If this is a real deal, if this is Tony Robinson's real deal... Is it Tony Robinson?
David Dickinson's.
If this is David Dickinson's real deal, then... we were so in sync. Then at some point it's going to end, and there will have been quite a bit of time, I'm assuming, in between the contract starting and ending. So, if anything, it's just making the film that could possibly happen even better when it eventually comes out. So, in the meantime, we can enjoy the MCU Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It's sick.
I liked the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, and I liked the Andrew Garfield ones. They're the ones that get the most stick, aren't they? But
Andrew Garfield ones are definitely the ones that no one really likes.
The whole new take they took with Tom Holland's Spider-Man's just almost a revelation on the Spider-Man movies.
100%. Yeah, I mean, you can't... Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man started it all, but there are a lot of things that when you look back of it have aged poorly.
I've not watched them in so long.
Yeah, I used to really like them, Mr. Sunday Movies.
Yeah,
he's just done a caravan of garbage of all the 3 Spider-Man movies. So usually he looks at a film and...
What's a caravan of garbage?
So he looks at a film that's really, really bad and talks about how bad it is with his mate Nick Mason. But
Nick Mason.
Why did you say it like that?
Sounds like if you watch a generic action movie, one of the soldiers would just be called Nick Mason.
Nick Mason. It's like a big rocket launcher or something.
So on the screen I can see a screenshot, no, it's not a screenshot, a GIF or a GIF, however you say it, that's from the Spider-Man PS4 game, which also is Marvel's Spider-Man. But in that they have Mary Jane, who is white with red hair.
Yes, but
that's Marvel.
It's also made primarily by Sony, and it's only available on PlayStation, which is owned by Sony.
True.
So I think it's definitely a Sony baby.
Okay.
I think Sony still have the rights to the games.
I also saw on some kind of Marvel group on Facebook, there was a big poll about who was the best iteration of Spider-Man.
Oh, what was voted? Whose poll was it? Because the bias would definitely be
it was on a Marvel group on Facebook, so it was Marvel fans.
Just okay.
So
not
people
like
who
MCU fans, just generic Marvel fans.
I think
that's a good poll.
I think
to have,
the group on Facebook is called Marvel Shield Posting. So they post memes and shit.
I get that shit posting, but Shield posting. That's cool.
So it had Tobey Maguire, it had Andrew Garfield, Tom Holland, had the Into the Spider-Verse
Miles
people.
Morales. Oh, all of the people.
Most of them, I think, and the PS4.
Yeah.
Who do you reckon would have won?
That's really tough. I've not obviously played the PlayStation one, set up on the PlayStation, but I've heard really good things about it, about the character as well.
Yeah.
From seeing the trailers, because spoilers for the movie reviews, but I've not seen Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
But from the trailers, I feel like the Peter Parker from that universe is like a fresh take on it, and it's quite cool. I think he might be one of my favourite Spider-Mans once I saw the film.
Yeah.
But I mean, if I was going to choose, I'd choose Tom Holland. So I'm going to go with Tom Holland.
I probably would as well. But the PS4 version won.
Really?
Yeah. Which makes me want to play the game even more.
Yeah, mate. What was second? Do you know?
I don't know. I only know what
fucking
won.
Bad memory. Yeah. No, that's fucking sick though.
Yeah.
That Spider-Man PS4
just reminded me because there was a GIF on the screen.
Yeah, I've seen loads of clips from it recently, and I just watched a video on. Fuck it. It's just way too much of a tangent. I just can't be arsed.
Okay, so we're on to the movies that we have/haven't seen.
Yeah, so depending on what movie we're talking about, one of us is going to be fucking bullshitting our way through it, and the other one isn't. I was going to say, maybe you could try and guess who's trying to bullshit their way through it in the comments.
That'd be a good game, but
it's going to be pretty fucking obvious.
Yeah.
So
pretty obvious. If we had a live audience, that'd be a good thing to do. But in the comments,
they could just fucking write the real answer.
Anyway.
We've got a live audience here. Can we get a round of applause, live audience? Just looks like you're having a wank.
That was quick.
Also, I was having it in post, but now I'm not going to. Okay, so the first film that I wanted to talk about is John Wick 3. So it came out recently in cinemas. Now, just for context, this isn't if you've seen the first one, or if you've seen the third one. Have you seen the first or the second John Wick film?
Still not.
You still haven't? Okay, I have. And the third one, it was like, genuinely, I was sat through the whole entire first part, and I was like blown away with all the action that was going on in it. There was literally one point where they do like this whole entire scene in New York City.
Okay.
And there's a part where he's like riding a horse through New York City, and like he's got like plot armor on, so like he isn't dying, and he's just fucking shooting everyone else. Everyone else has guns, but they're not shooting him on horses. He's the only one apparently that can shoot a gun on horses. Yeah, literally just not shooting anything. You have to suspend full disbelief for these films, and doing that, I was like, mate, if they never leave New York City and this action scene never ends, I'm happy. Like, I could sit for an hour and a half watching John Wick kill loads of people in New York City in loads of different ways.
Nice.
It was so good.
That'd be fun.
What was your favourite part of the film?
So my favourite part of the film was when he went from in New York City.
Yeah.
And then...
Because that obviously, as you know, someone that's definitely watched the film, you know that's not the whole film is in New York City.
Of course not, no. It's just one of the best parts, isn't it?
Yeah.
But to escape the baddies, because they like corner him, he takes a sharp left, like a really sharp left on his horse, and he gets nay, and ends up going down into the subway.
Okay, the sharp subway.
Nah, the New York subway.
Oh, I thought
underground.
I was going to change your story.
Where in the station there's a subway.
What does he get from Subway?
He gets a meatball marinara footlong on wheat.
You didn't even have to say it. Of course,
cheese.
If John Wick is going to get
if John Wick gets a
sandwich,
incher,
it's being a footlong.
Come on.
So he gets his meatball marinara footlong,
and then he hears a whoop, 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 because obviously all the memes of John Wick are him losing his dog and like taking revenge, which is what the whole story is about. He's killing everyone to get to his dog.
As he knows.
As I know.
Because he's seen the film.
So he hears his dog, or what he thinks is his dog.
Okay.
He turns around and it's just a furry doing some dog noises. So he gets really annoyed at that.
Does he kill the furry?
Shotguns him in the face.
Obviously, that point where he kills the furry is
Kills the furry. That's what they got most complaints about. The furry community sent in loads of complaints into.
That's the one people you can't attack. You can't attack furries and you can't attack Jews.
Tell Hitler that.
Oh fuck. Oh my god. Okay, there is a bit that I actually do want to talk about that's really good, and it's in that first bit.
Go on.
So basically the synopsis of the film is John Wick has been excommunicated from his spy regime, and over the course of the last two films, the end of the last film, he was like, you're cut off, mate, you're not a spy anymore. So they then put a contract out to kill John Wick, and it's like fucking $1 million or some shit if you manage to kill him, or like 5 million, something stupid.
Not enough.
Not enough to kill John Wick, I know. But there's like a countdown timer to it, and whilst he's preparing, he's like trying to get keys for like all this treasure and stuff. Just hit the mic for the audio people, very sorry. And one of the keys, or I can't really remember to be honest, but something that he needs to get is in this library. So he goes into this library, opens this book that clearly no one would ever look in, and gets one of the keys. And then there's this big fuck off guy that looks a bit like the guy from Hot Fuzz that goes yarp,
yeah,
like the big
yarp.
Fuck off guy.
Yeah.
Like all he is just some big guy that can punch really hard. So the yarp guy comes to him, and John Wick knows him because he's like, everyone knows John Wick.
Yeah. Come on.
So then it's before the countdown has started, and the guy's like, no one will notice a couple of minutes. So like it's before you're legally allowed to kill him because he's still a spy under this regime.
Okay.
But this guy's like, no one will notice, and then like starts attacking John Wick, and he's fucking big, and they punch all the books and stuff. Basically,
punch the books.
This whole entire starting part is John Wick being put into lots of different situations, and he's only allowed to use the things that are around him to kill the person that he's fighting. So he uses fucking books, like big-ass books, to crush the skull of this guy. And it's, like, gruesome as fuck. Like, usually where a film would end...
I can remember it still in my brain.
Yeah, as a person that has seen the film.
As a person.
But, like, literally, you hear the crunch, and you think, like, oh, they're going to stop at some point, and then there's just, like, more crunch, and he's just fucking shoving this book down this person's head, and it's fucking gruesome as fuck. But it's obviously, as you can
I watched,
tell me, as you know, it's one of the best.
Well,
scenes
yeah,
of the
when
film.
I watched it, I was really surprised to find out really that it was a crossover of John Wick and Nicolas Cage in the National Treasure movies.
Who's obviously, his character is called Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, because they're looking for treasure.
Yes,
and they were in the big library in Washington DC.
I can't remember. Is this before or after he kills the furry?
This was at the beginning.
This is at the beginning. This is the first part. Sorry,
yeah.
I just get them mixed up in my head.
This is at the start. So they're looking for the Declaration of Independence.
Cool.
In a
as Nick likes to do.
Library kind of. I don't know. I'm not American. Like Americans will know. There's loads of books about in the library, as Americans do. But in National Treasure...
We don't have libraries here. As Americans do. They have books in libraries. As opposed to in England, we don't get books in libraries.
But they team up on the big yarp guy, don't they?
They do. I forgot, actually. I don't know why I didn't mention that when I was talking about that
scene. Quite a big part, really.
Yeah. Nick Cage.
They go to high-five each other with a book in each hand, and then the
over
guy's
his head
in the middle,
and it squishes, and it's like confetti comes out.
Epic moment,
but like
and then
brain confetti, not like real confetti.
Nicolas Cage is like, John Wick, I'll see you next time. I've got a country to save, and he runs off and gets the Declaration of Independence and legs it and goes finds more treasure. One of the best parts, really, apart from the furry part.
I think that is one of the best reviews that we've ever done.
Cheers to that.
What would you give it out of 5? 5 stars out of 5 stars. Obviously, we're the only 5-star podcast. But you can get a 5-star movie. But what would you give it?
Especially the 2 scenes we've talked about, that's definitely up there as 5 out of 5. But overall, 4.5 out of 5.
Yeah, if I was going to rate those scenes, I'd give it a 5. But otherwise, probably a 4. It definitely, we've talked a lot about the start of the film, but obviously the end of the film did drag quite a lot. Especially when Winona Ryder decided to show up, and she was like the sex interest.
Yeah,
and
you know the Ryder.
Yeah. And then Ghost Rider turned up as well, which is also Nick Cage. It just got a bit weird. So, yeah.
I'm supposed to be the one memeing.
Yeah, no, but genuinely, it did drag towards the end, so I'd probably like 4 out of 5.
Nice.
Just because if you're going into it expecting a plot, what the fuck just you do?
Don't.
It's John Wick. It's fucking just action, and it's fucking amazing.
Yeah,
okay.
Enjoyed it. There we go.
That was sick.
I want to watch them and I'll get around to it at some point.
Yes.
That was fun.
Okay.
That was more fun than I thought it was going to be.
So, if you don't understand kind of what just happened, I'd see the film and Will hadn't. And yeah, we were reviewing the film. Hopefully that was really fucking obvious. I felt like it was fucking obvious.
If you've seen the film, you'll find that funny. But if you've not, I think you'll find that funny as well. So all around, good chunks.
So hopefully you put in the comments who you
thought it was. I don't know.
Who knows? We just told you. So the next film we're going to be talking about is The Meg. Now, like when this was like announced, I remember seeing a trailer for it, and I was like, "Holy shit!" Like they've taken the meme that was Sharknado, and then just gone
That's exactly what I thought of when I saw the trailer.
Yeah, instead of making it just like a fucking tornado of sharks, let's just make all the amount of sharks that are in a tornado into one big ass fucking shark.
Versus Jason Statham.
Yeah, and then put like insane people in it. Like there's loads of famous people in this movie, isn't there?
It's pretty good cast. I went into watching it expecting it to be like a proper parody meme.
Yeah,
like
same.
Just everything being over the top, which it kind of is.
I was going to say
naturally
because there was that one part where Big Bird just turned up, and I was like, "How did they just try to shoehorn that in by just like going past the fucking Sesame Seed studio?"
Sesame Seed.
The Sesame Seed studio on top of the bun.
Yeah, that's.
But that was the only part
brand deals for you.
That was the only part that I felt like they were definitely like trying to shoehorn it in, and it was very parody-ish. But apart from that, yeah, I thought it was going to be a lot more parody-y.
It was, but overall, I actually genuinely enjoyed it. I went into it watching it as if it was going to be a parody, so like I would find all the over-the-top things funny instead of just being like, oh, this is shit. Obviously, that's not realistic.
Yeah, same as John Wick. Like, you can't go into it assuming it's going to be a great movie. But was it? I mean, it was a great movie.
Yeah,
I know that.
I don't know what you're asking me for. We watched it together. The bit where so there's the huge like scientific research facility where they're researching the ocean, and they find a bit of the ocean that is deeper than the Marianas Trench.
Yeah, he's just letting the audience know, because obviously I've seen the film, so as
we all know, the Marianas Trench is the deepest trench in the world. But they find
sounded like you were saying, you know that fucking. It's like a campfire song, like a Cubs song. The Marianas Trench is the deepest trench in the whole. Oh, it's fucking South Park.
There's CAMPFIRS. No,
bitch. Kyle's mom the bitch, and she suck a fucking dick.
She's a big fat bitch. She's the biggest bitch in the whole wide world. She's a big fat bitch.
The Mariana Trench is the biggest trench in the whole wide world.
So they find.
That, to be fair, that cameo was the best cameo ever. Fucking Cal's mom from South Park just being in the Mariana Trench was like the best part of the movie for me.
And yeah,
so I
took me by surprise.
Spoiler warning: I'm giving this 5 stars if you hadn't already. Guessed. But go on.
They find a bit of the trench that it has an opening, and it goes deeper. So they go down in some little pod thing, deeper into the Marianas Trench. Actually, I can't remember if it is the Marianas Trench or if it's another trench that's deeper.
So they go into it.
You have, haven't you?
Yes.
So they go down.
They go into the trench in this pod.
And this bit was like a spooky building suspense bit, wasn't it?
Oh, obviously, because they don't. Well, I mean, it's a trench. They don't know what's down there. It's pitch black.
Exactly.
They can't see anything. They're
What
just
do they find?
exploring. They obviously find a big carcass that is like it's bigger than a blue whale, but it looks like the remains of a blue whale. And they're like, what could that have possibly been? And then they see another remain of like a massive thing, but it's like slowly, as they keep on going down this trench, it slowly gets bigger and bigger, like the remains are getting bigger and bigger. And then they get to this point and there's like a rumble, and then all you see is like between some rocks, you see like an eye open. And then there's like a fucking, all the rocks go spinning around, and then it shoots them out, and then Jason Statham's like, spinning. That looks like it was, and he looks at the camera and goes, The Meg. And then the credits roll, and that's the end of the film. Obviously.
Yeah, but then they
but
go,
then the credits
that was
unroll.
just a joke.
Tee.
Good meme. But that was a really suspenseful part of the movie.
Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously, then the Meg comes out of the hole in the Mariana Trench. Well, then they don't really know what to do they?
No, it's the biggest shark ever.
Yeah. How did they? I mean, coming from a person that, like, if theoretically, if I hadn't have seen the film, I wouldn't know what would happen next.
Yeah, I know, exactly. That's the kind of thing with these kind of movies. Like, it doesn't really make that much sense, but when you put it all together. But another bit that I found it quite funny, really. So there was a little girl on the research facility that was the daughter of one of the scientists, and Jason Statham is brought in, as he is known in the film. Jason Statham is brought in.
That's something that I noticed. None of the big actors had names.
Yeah, they were just their own names.
They were just the actors.
Actors get so big these days that in their contracts are like,
wasn't Halle Berry in this film? Did I just make that up?
Yeah, she was.
She was. Wait, no, you just.
No, she wasn't.
I genuinely, because there's Zoe Saldana. Then
there's an actress that looks a bit like Halle Berry. I don't know what she's called.
I'm actually all right. End of memes for a second.
End of memes.
Because I've obviously, if you hadn't guessed, write in the comments below. I've not seen this film, but I'm gonna Google who the fuck the actress is, because I want to know. Ruby Rose. That's not the person that I was thinking of. Mate, was it Li Bingbing? So we're just laughing at a person's name.
That's who I was going to speak about.
But that's a fucking great name. Holy shit!
She is the marine scientist who has a daughter in the facility.
Li Bingbing.
And Jason Statham helps the little girl after she gets like scared by the shark. And obviously, because he's helping the little girl, the mum likes Jason Statham, and then everything comes together and they end up in a room together.
And then, mate, it sounds like you're making it up. Wait,
There's a bit. No, I'm not making it up.
Because I wouldn't know.
Yeah, that'd be a good meme.
You could just make up the whole entire plot, and I just have
J.K.
to
Rowling
agree.
comes in.
Says everyone's a jerk.
But Jason Statham and Lee Bingbing are in a room together, and they look at each other. And this next part was,
I mean, obviously they fucked, and we were all cooks when we were watching.
who else was the cook?
The kid
And
the whole.
the Meg.
No, really? The Meg sees them fucking.
No, I just made that up.
Oh,
It's funny.
mate, I was just imagining them having a like sex scene, and it's like on the ship, and it's like a submarine part of the ship, and you can just see this window, and the Meg's eye just like swims past as they fucking. That would be great.
But another scene that I really liked was towards the end. Obviously, they have to have a scene where the Megs go into a beach because it's spring break. There's thousands of people on the beach, swimming in the sea, floating about.
Yeah, obviously.
Meg-
You've got to get those bikinis as well, because it's
Comes
that
up.
kind of
It's that
audience,
kind of
isn't it?
film. Boobs are bouncing. The Meg comes up,
Boobs are bouncing.
and the Meg says, Actually, I think it's in Hong
Wait.
Kong or something, so
Edit that out, please. Don't forget that.
keep it. No, don't. First reactions, cancelled.
So, what does he say?
I didn't say anything, he's a fucking shark, you idiot.
Oh, you were just leading me up
Yeah, I was leading you on to say something.
Oh, and I said that. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm leaving it in, by the way.
Bleep
I'm
it
just
out.
bleeping it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
with our reaction afterwards.
Yeah, but no, it's just the standard, oh, there's a big shark. Everybody swim away. But the way they did it was quite cool.
So, the end of the film, obviously, that was like, I mean, every film nowadays is leading up to a sequel, so obviously the Meg 2 is going to be coming at some point, but I thought the way that they did it was really, like, actually quite clever. The fact that instead of just like, oh, the Meg kind of dies, but then at the end his, like, eye opens and you say, oh, he's not really dead, because that would be fucking shit, because all kind of stupid films do that. Instead, when he just like randomly sprouted wings and just flew out to the sky, and they were all like, what the fuck, this shark can fly, and then fucking Big Bird met him in the sky.
That's
and it
why
turns
Big
out
Bird was in.
Big Bird was in there because Big Bird's been controlling the Meg the whole entire time, and then Big Bird's up there like, can you count how many deaths I'm going to cause? And then just like the shark opens his mouth and thousands of Big Birds fly out and start murdering everyone. And the sequel's going to be called The Meg 2 Sesame Seed.
Sesame Seed. What a movie that would be. I would watch that. But on a reel, the Meg was actually quite fun to watch.
Yeah, genuinely, because I'm never going to watch it.
On a reel.
I'm never going to watch it for the plot.
Yeah.
How does the film end? Spoilers, obviously.
I mean, it's not like
Literally how the film ends, yeah.
So I think they end up killing the Meg. There's lots of other stuff that's going on with the people. I can't really remember. Like, there's a rich guy that was funding.
No one watches the movies for their fucking
Yeah.
storylines. I hate when they do that. They did that with Godzilla. I was going to talk about Godzilla for these movie reviews, but like it was so annoying.
Really?
I'd just be talking about how much I hate the movie. So the Godzilla bits was sick, but like that's all you care about in these kind of movies, isn't it? You care about the Meg. You don't care about Jason
And the
Statham's
memes.
fucking
The Meg and the memes.
the Meg and the memes. That's the third film.
I was waiting for the whole film to see Jason Statham punch the Meg in the face, like just with his bare fist. And every time they got close, it's like punch him in the face, punch him in the face. And it happens at the end, I think.
Really? He actually does it. Is that in the
Pretty sure.
trailers?
I don't know.
I don't think it is.
But they end up killing a Meg,
Nice.
and then
A Meg, so there's more than one.
Oh shit!
Spoilers.
They end up killing the Meg, and then they realise that they've like opened the way for more of the Megs to come through. So there's just like loads of huge fuck off sharks underneath, like in the center of the earth. And then there's another one that comes out, and that's the one that goes to the beach and starts wreaking havoc. And then Jason Statham kills it at the end.
Oh, so they kill the big one, and then in that same film, there's lots of others.
Just one other, I think.
Oh, well, there's definitely going to be a
Can't
second
remember.
one where there's
Yeah.
lots of them. They're gonna do a Megnado next. That would be fucking...
watch it.
That would be epic.
That'd be epic, gamers.
Subscribe for Megnado.
Oh, but next up, we have a First Reactions exclusive.
Yes, so we are going to be talking about Men in Black next. Now, Will, have you seen Men in Black?
They have a pen that they shine at people and it makes them forget stuff. Is that right?
Mate, if I, wrote down what you said in, subtitles, I swear you went, have pen that make people shine.
They have a pen that they shine in people's faces and it makes them forget.
Okay.
Lose their mind. And they chase aliens. They protect the world from aliens.
Yes.
In suits.
But
I've not seen it, no.
Okay.
Have you seen it? This is what they do.
Just answer the fucking question. So, you haven't seen any of the Men in Black, let alone the recent
Not with
one.
Will Smith or with Thor.
Or with whereas I've seen, obviously, I think there's been 3. I've seen the first 2.
There were 3.
Maybe I've not seen the third. I think I have seen the third. So I think that's Will Smith trying to get the old guy back into it, I think. I've seen that.
Okay.
But then, reboot of Men in Black, I've also not seen it. So you've not seen it.
No.
I've not seen it. What are we going to do, guys?
You know who has seen it? Our friends at
First Impressions Podcast. So let me get it up. The
so-
First Impressions guys have decided to do, and if you watched our last podcast, you would know, you'd got a sneak preview from James.
Yes. If you've watched our previous ones, James has been on 3, I think, now. James has had a hat trick. He's
he's the
most regular guest.
Yeah, he is.
And Liam's been on just 1, I think. But James and Liam decided they watched Men in Black and were like, let's do our own first reactions and call it First Impressions.
So I bumped into them before they saw it, and I was like, mate, can you guys do a knockoff first reactions? So that's what they've done. So he sent me, Liam, the person that recorded it, has sent me all 3. So they did 3 attempts. 1 was perfect, so we'll play that one first.
Okay, are you going to put it in the edit?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
it's the First Impressions Podcast. 6 stars. And that's the intro.
Stars.
What up, guys? I'm Liam.
I'm Liam.
I'm James. And this is First Impressions Podcast, the only 6-star podcast on the internet. And we're going to be giving our first impressions. That's right. On Men in Black International. Is that the right movie?
That's the right movie.
I thought it was really good.
I also thought it was really
Liam,
good.
what did you think of the movie?
Liam thought it was really good.
It was really good.
It should be called Women in Black.
Yeah, the feminists are taking over.
I didn't mean that. I just meant as a woman in it.
And that's the end.
And that's the end.
I'm just going to replay that for the podcast people. Just that end bit. Look at the amount of so audio listeners, please watch the video part for this. Look at the dead in Liam's eyes when he says, and that's the
I
end.
didn't mean it like that. I just meant as a woman in it. Who's in black.
And that's the end.
Yeah, but his voice has got some kind of oomph to it. It reminds me of, the YouTuber, he's called Adrian Bliss, who just does parody videos. It's the same kind of thing as that.
It is, literally. Mate, I've not watched an Adrian Bliss video
I don't
for
think
ages.
he's uploaded in years.
Oh, he's
But
fucking
he was
quality.
funny, yeah.
When he did that whole entire vlog parody series.
Vlog month, yeah.
That was so good. A little bit of a tangent.
It was good.
Okay, so there's a couple of attempts that they did. One, I'm not going to spoil anything. It's just really funny.
I've not seen this.
This was their first attempt.
First Impressions Podcast. 6 stars. And that's the intro. Hi, what up? I'm Liam.
That's what you did on our podcast.
So that was it. So James just didn't say anything. He just put his thumb up. And then this one is like Liam turned into a fucking 80-year-old grandma. You'll understand why in a second.
It's the First Impressions Podcast.
Here come the Men in Black.
That's 6 stars. We're coming to you live from the light parking space. How do I turn this round? Shit, is that the camera? We'll do this. I'll press that.
He's going to just turn it around.
Oh, fuck.
Have you farted?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's it.
6 stars.
So Liam can't fucking turn the camera around. And then he's like, James, have you farted? And that's the end of the fucking record.
What a podcast. I mean, you can
it's
see
so
why
good.
it's 6 stars.
Yeah, but at the moment they've only got one episode, and that's the only episode, and we're the only people that have access to the episode. So, if people want more first impressions, then please let us know. What I would really appreciate is if you guys would leave a review on the iTunes.
On the iTunes? Yeah, go on.
On our podcast, on the iTunes podcast, you can leave reviews. If you leave a review asking for more first impressions, then I will be just a very happy person. I was going to say I will reward you with something, but I'll have no idea who you are, so I'll just be very happy.
And we'll cheers to you.
Well, cheers. I've not got a drink, but we'll cheers to you. Let's open a new beer. Okay.
Are we telling everyone what we saw in Men in Black, or are we moving on to our ones?
Well, what do you think happened
I don't know.
in the third Men in Black, the fourth Men in Black
Fourth
film
Men in Black.
that is a reboot of a franchise you've never seen?
Halfway through, I was going to wait. Chris Hemsworth.
Yes,
I was
not
going to say
Thor.
Chris Harrington then.
Chris
Who's that?
Harrington. I just fucking I don't know, mate.
I'm
Should
Andy
we-
Harrison.
Mate, if I remember, I'm
That's
going to
such
include
an
that
old
clip.
meme.
All right, Chris
It's Chris Harrington.
Harrington. I can't spell it.
There he is.
Fictional character.
From the Australian soap opera Home and Away. Never even watched that. I mean,
I think Steve
Harrington's from
is from
Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not Chris Harrington.
Halfway through the movie, the
What, Men in Black we're talking
Men
about
in
now?
Black,
Okay,
yeah.
sorry. We'll get back to it.
Thor and the... What's the woman called?
When you say Thor, you mean Chris Harrington.
Yeah, Thor.
When you say Thor, you mean this person.
Chris Harrington.
Yes, Thor.
I thought you were laughing because you said Chris Harrington, not
I
Chris
said it as a
Hemsworth.
meme.
Oh,
And then you just go,
Yeah,
yes,
Thor.
Thor.
Yeah, Thor.
Like, just ignore what the fuck I said.
yeah, Thor. And what are the
Valkyrie.
female? The Valkyries. I was going to say
She's called Valkyrie. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay.
From
In Norse mythology, there's multiple, and they're called the Valkyries. I've just read.
she's
book
part of
on
a
it.
group called the Valkyries, but
Okay,
she's actually called Valkyrie.
That's very confusing,
I'm pretty
Marvel. Yeah, they just realise, oh shit, we shouldn't be here. We should be in the Marvel universe. So we're gonna just yeet out of here. So they grab Thor's hammer and just go ching, and then the movie ends like after 20 minutes.
The hammer knocks you off.
The hammer knocks me off.
Yeah, I honestly have no idea what the fuck happens in the movie. I know there's a scene in London where she gets a
Very
That's
epic.
it. There's a scene in London.
Okay, Ma. Very epic.
So now we're going to be talking about the film Ma. So we're going to try and do a spoiler-free review
Okay.
to start off with.
That'll be hard for me. I mean, be all right. I'll do it.
As someone that's definitely seen the film, it's going to be quite hard, but he'll be able to do it.
If you couldn't tell.
So, basically what happens... Spoiler-free
Spoiler
review.
free, but basically, what happens is
the general synopsis of the film, without doing any spoilers, is there are a group of kids that are trying to get alcohol from a place, but they're underage. And then, because it's 21 there, I think they're like 17 or whatever.
Yeah.
So they're not like young, but they ask this person that's going past whether she can get them
go in
alcohol.
the shop for me.
Yeah, literally. And they ask her very nicely, and she's like, okay, go on then. And they're like, oh, mate, yeah, she's well nice. And she gives them alcohol, and she's like, but you guys stay out of trouble now. And she's like, really nice. She's like, hey, if you want any more, well, here's my phone number and stuff. She's proper fucking weird.
Right then.
But it's not seen as weird in the film. They don't show it as weird. They show it as like, it's kind of like a nice gesture or whatever, and she's just being friendly. Then she does it again, and then she's like, if you're looking for a place to drink that isn't behind some random rocks, which is legit where they used to just go and drink, then you can come to my house. So then they go to her.
I'll nonce you.
They go to her basement and start drinking, and that's kind of the premise of the film.
Yeah.
And it's kind of showcased that she's a little bit weird. So now, spoiler-free review. The first half of the film is incredibly slow. Like, what I've just described, I'd say takes about 30 minutes to do.
Do you know why that is, though?
Why is that?
because when they
Is
initially...
it spoiler free?
Spoiler free.
Okay.
When they initially pitched the movie to whoever the big bosses were,
Yeah.
they wrote an email out, and there was a spelling error. So instead of... Wait, there was a spelling error. So originally, it was going to be a movie about a sheep. And it was just going to be called Bar, but it was a mistype, and they put Ma, and then they were like, oh, that sounds like a brilliant idea, so they couldn't go back on their original idea of Bar.
But what was the film going to be when it was about bar? Was it going to be a sheep buying them alcohol?
Buying alcohol, yeah. So they were like, wish we could have someone to go into a shop to buy us alcohol. In walks a sheep.
Maybe there wasn't a spelling error, and the sheep just goes ma.
Instead, it just got lost in communication between the higher ups.
Someone wrote ma because that's the noise the sheep makes, and then someone else thought they were talking about a mum, so they put a mum in there. And then there was just the sheep that was born for the role that was like, motherfuck. I can't. I was going to try and say all of that I was going to say sheep accent.
I was going to say it all in sheep accent.
Yeah.
Siri, do sheep accent.
But
yeah, that's the reason why it was all slow, because they already had it all figured out. That was why it was dead slow, but then they go to the basement, that's where it all kicks off, isn't it?
It is, but spoiler free. First of all, before we get on to spoilers, because we are going to, fuck, straight face. What would you give it out of 5 stars?
4 bars out of 7 muttons.
All right, out of 5 stars, what would you give it? 4 out of 7.
Can you not do the translation
The
very
ratio.
quickly? The converting the currency of bars to stars.
What would that be? Like 2.5?
Yeah,
Would it?
yeah. See, it's easy.
Hey, wait, no, 2.5 is exactly half.
Yeah,
4 out of 7 is not exactly half.
yeah, but we round up in these parts.
So wouldn't it be 3.5?
Yeah, but I rounded up. Just move on. I thought you were just going to move on at that bit. Just going on about it.
Just move on. I'd probably give it a. It would, if I was. So I wouldn't recommend anyone to actually see this movie.
Really?
Like, if it ends up on Netflix, which it probably will,
Probably.
or if you happen to get a DVD copy, or if it's very cheap, maybe buy the DVD. But I wouldn't really recommend it. Because with friends, I can imagine this movie being really funny if you're not watching it in like a serious way, as you would agree as someone that's seen the movie. So if you're watching it for like meme potential and like it being actually funny when it's not supposed to be funny, then I'd give it a 4 out of 5. But for what it's meant to be, which is a horror, and it's meant to be building suspense for the first half an hour, that is the most boring film that I've ever seen, I'd give it a 2 out of 5.
Oh, shit.
Like, it is fucking bad. There is one particular scene, we are now in spoilers, that is fucking amazing. Like, it is... I laughed throughout the... So this thing happens at the end of this scene, and I laughed from that all the way through the next scene. In a cinema full of people that didn't think it was funny, because it's not meant to be funny, but it was fucking hilarious. I was by myself, wetting myself. This scene, as you know, as someone that has clearly seen the film, is fucking amazing. So, throughout this whole entire film, we've had flashbacks of Ma's backstory, of how she was kind of... It seems like she could have been bullied as a kid, but all of these flashbacks have been her flirting with this, what seems to be a really popular kid. And this popular kid's like has even kissed her and said, "Oh, I think we can get
Cheeky
along."
little nosh.
Yeah, cheeky little nosh. Well, a cheeky little nosh happens eventually.
It does, doesn't it?
So it keeps on cutting through between
The sheep.
like
and
current day and past day,
Yeah.
and then the sheep.
Yeah.
It's like an alternating triple nosh me off.
Triple nosh off.
And then it gets to this point where this guy has messaged her, or like because I don't think there was text in this flashback, has like sent her a note saying, "Meet me in like the closet at such and such a time."
The closet.
At school. And she goes into this closet and there's a guy there. It's pitch black. She can't see anything. she sucks this guy off, and it's not the guy that she'd been talking to, it's just some random guy, and then she gets
It's just a sheep.
It's just a sheep. She sucked a sheep off. She's like, you're very woolly for a human.
And she walks out the closet with a Welsh accent.
If I could do a Welsh accent, I then would, but I can't. I'm really bad at accents. Apart from the sheep accent.
Apart from the sheep accent.
So you're bad at accents too, then? What was that, Indian?
Good meme. Good one.
Good one.
Bar one.
Bar one. Okay, so, yeah, she leaves the closet, and then, by the way, if anyone's listening to this and hasn't seen the film, don't worry. Like, it's not like, it's fucking, it'll make you want to go see the film, because don't go see the film for anything else. I'm kind of saying that to you as well, as someone that's obviously seen the film. Sorry, I forgot he's definitely seen the film.
Just have.
Yeah, she comes out the closet, and there's pretty much like everyone in their class is just like waiting in the corridor. They're the only people that are there, but they all know that she's just sucked off some random guy. Yeah. And they're all like, how was she? And he goes, fucking sick. He's like, yes, mate, I got my dick sucked. And she's like, what the fuck? And it's like really traumatic, obviously, for her character.
Right.
But I found it a bit strange because like, she's clearly... I mean, it's a bit of a strange topic. She's clearly good at sucking dick because he's like, yes, mate, that was sick. He like had a really good time, and then they're all just laughing at her for sucking someone's dick. They basically,
you're really good at sucking penises.
But also, they're like,
don't say that out of context.
But like, if it's just them being shit because they're making her like nosh off someone that she didn't want to.
Yeah.
So it's essentially like, I don't know how it works, but like it's rape, but like it's not, because she meant to suck off this guy.
Well,
but
I mean,
it's a different
you probably
guy.
say something first.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's not the voice I recognise.
Yeah, but also you can't, in a real life situation that would have probably happened. But also in a real life situation, if that did happen, like if she didn't say anyone's name or whatever, then you can't like put blame on her for not just like recognizing the voice difference. It was a very strange, like in the middle of this very generic like boring horror film, there was just this scene that could like scar someone for life, and I was like, fuck, okay, that kind of explains why she's a bit psycho.
Was that the thing that they were like, oh, this is why she's
yeah, this is why she's
that was the main
people.
thing that makes you murder people.
Yeah, that was it.
Okay.
Like, it's traumatic and stuff, but it's not going to make you murder
It's a bit
people.
of a weird situation.
It's not going to make you murder people unless you were going to murder people. Also, someone chose to write that. Like, that's not a real thing that happened. Like, I understand if you're doing a documentary and that's happened to someone and you have to write it as that, but they chose to include that as a story point, that she sucked some random guy off. Why would you choose that? Because it has so many, as we were discussing, so many different implications and so many different things that could have happened or should have happened. Or, so it's already fucking weird. And then there's a girl that the popular guy is with that is like, ha ha ha, like, fuck you. You're an idiot. You sucked off that guy and you thought you were sucking off this guy. And then they kiss. And then that interjects straight away into present day of her driving her car down the road, and present day version of the character that was kissing the jock guy is crossing the road, and she just full on runs into her, and she flies over the bonnet and cracks her head open and dies.
Okay, so basically everything you just told me sounds like you were making it up.
I know! That's why I wanted to talk about this film, because, like, what the fuck?
I don't even know what
She's
to
not
say
killed.
to
She
this.
hasn't killed a single person up till this point. The film has been the most boring film that I have ever watched up until this point. Full of exposition, full of, ooh, she seems like she might be a bit creepy. But she drinks with them. She's totally fine. She'll have a couple of, like, shots or whatever, and then she'll be like, no, I can't drink. The only weird part is she says, don't go upstairs, whatever you do. And then at some point, someone goes upstairs and she's like, how you dare you go upstairs, and she slaps them, and you're like, all right, why is she slapping them? That's a bit weird. So that was as far as it had gone. On evil scale, she slapped a kid.
Evil scale.
Which is pretty evil.
As the evil scale goes.
Yeah, but it's not like up there. So evil scale...
Who's up there?
fucking Hermes
Hermes.
when she runs over the fucking woman and cracks her skull open literally out of nowhere. You don't even know where she's been driving from or why she's driving or how she knows that person's there. It just seems like a split moment decision. She just decides to kill this person.
Well, I think you decided for me. I'm not going to bother watching Ma. I'd prefer to watch Bar.
Please, like, genuinely, that scene is worth watching. So that was that when she killed that person. I'm assuming that was meant to be like a really shocking scene. That was the scene that I then laughed at for a good 10 minutes.
Everyone else in the cinema just looking at you
openly
you're
laugh.
the more psychopathic than
I'm the sociopath. Yeah. But that, for me, we've kind of gone off reviewing movies we haven't seen because I just wanted to talk about that scene.
That's a bit of a weird one.
What the fuck? The movie is that fucking weird.
Sounds it.
There is then a scene, as you know,
goes deeper.
From someone that you've. For someone that's seen the movie, just like I have, there's a scene where she's torturing all the kids. What for you, out of, I think there's 4 different methods of torture that she uses, what was the most standout, the most creepy or disgusting method of torture that she uses on the kids? What was the worst one for you?
There were quite a few. Each kid had their own individual torture method, didn't they?
Go on.
But the one that really stuck in my brain, kept me up at night really, was when she took all the food away from him, so the hunger bar slowly went down.
Minecraft. Sorry, Minecraft.
And then their hearts, she'd slapped them a couple of times, so their hearts went below 4 out of 10, so they couldn't sprint, and they didn't have any food, so they couldn't sprint.
They can regenerate.
They can't regenerate. You can't sprint. So she then released them.
And they just walked away.
Started chasing them. They can't sprint. They can't run away. So they were just really slowly walking
and she's just in the background making villager noises.
She's there with a slowness arrow, shooting them even more.
So they're going...
And
get away.
Then a creeper just comes in and noshes them off in a closet.
But then the creeper didn't realise that it wasn't the kids and it was Ma that he was noshing off. And he comes out of the closet and all the kids are like, ha ha! You were good at sucking off Ma!
And Water Sheep's in the corner ha ha!
My name Jeb.
You sucked off my friend in the closet because we're both sheep.
Look at me.
Boots and cats and
bonus reactions.
Ooh.
Yeah, it says bite size, but really we've got to pay attention to bonus reactions. You can't say bite size anymore because we've
finally got time
bonus
for
reactions.
That just wasn't in time, was it? But
wasn't
now
in time, but it's bonus reactions. You've got to say it as well, mate, because it's saying bite-sized reactions, so we've got to be saying bonus reactions louder than that.
You're loud enough for both of us.
Bonus reactions. I was going to say it really loud, and then I realised my
ASMR
ears
reactions.
would hurt. So, welcome to bonus reactions. This is a bonus reactions that I have literally been waiting on for, I'd say, over 2 months. That's what it feels like.
For bonus reactions.
We never had time for the length of bonus reactions that this is, and we finally have time for it. So
we finally have time, as we're 13 minutes late for going round to our friends. We finally have time. I don't know how actually long we've been going on this podcast. Let me just double check. So without edits, 1 hour and 40. There's a lot of edits that need to be done, but how has it been that long? It didn't feel that long, did it? Not really.
I've put all these clips to the relevant time code to make sure that we're cutting to the part that I want to talk about for each video. Basically, it is a series called Unraveled that is on Polygon. Mm-hmm. So Polygon, obviously, like a journalist website, I guess.
Yeah, I think so.
They make articles and stuff, but their YouTube channel has got creators that they specifically employ to make interesting videos.
Cool.
And this specific series, Unraveled, is the host is Brian David Gilbert, I think is his name.
Great name.
It's a fucking quality name, and he is when I first watched this video, I was like, holy shit, this guy is fucking amazing. He is the best person that I've discovered on the internet ever, I feel.
Ever?
He's Kib level of amazing for me. I know.
Ooh.
And I discovered Kib years ago, and I was like, Kib is the best person in the world. So this is the same level as Kib for me. The Unraveled series, he takes an aspect of a game, and then just goes, what can we do with this that no one else will be bothered to do that will make for a good meme?
AKA,
basically.
I read all 337 books in Skyrim, so you don't have to.
Exactly.
Right then.
So these videos vary from 12 minutes to 20. So I'm obviously not going to be showing a whole entire video. I'm going to be showing snippets that I thought that were really funny that we can react to. So I can introduce you, Will.
Me will.
You will.
Me will.
To Unraveled. So hopefully that you can then go home and watch all these
Watch
Unraveled
the memes.
videos because they're fucking quality.
And you.
And you guys at home. So, this is a clip from the I read all 337 books in Skyrim, so you don't have to.
Dragonborn, who really has the time to read all those books? I do, apparently. I read every book in Skyrim in order to answer the eternal question, should you read every book in Skyrim? And I'm here to give you my top
ask that
5
myself every
recommendations
day.
of books. Here is
everyone
my
says that.
Skyrim book report. Skyrim book report.
I just, like, that's not a normal thing. That's not in every episode. That was just, that little music bit was just for that section. Like, that's not like a theme that Unraveled has. That's when this was my first video that I watched, and I was like, oh, he's got a little theme tune, and I watched
do it
all
for
the
all of
others, and it's not in any of them. He just did it for Skyrim book report.
Do you reckon he just started doing that? And they were like, we should probably have music to that.
He does dances in all of them. It's so good. He's actually like an interpretive dancer as well, which is amazing because he just doesn't look like an interpretive dancer in the slightest.
No.
So audio people, probably best watching this one. Okay, so next we're moving on to Bowser's military hierarchy. So he's comparing all of the Bowser's like minions to
Nice.
like the actual army and where they would rank and what section of the army they would be in, whether it's army or navy or whatever. This one's really, really good because he goes into specific detail into one, and then the next one's a meme.
Tech is. Major Burroughs really deserves the rank of Major General because he has demonstrated a powerful understanding of many strategies in many different battle arenas. But more than that, he has this tender leadership quality that makes him not only respected, but loved by his peers. And then above him is a fucking T-Rex.
Oh, it fucking gets me every time. It's so good. This guy's fucking, he's got all these qualities, he's respected by his peers, but above him is a fucking T-Rex, mate. What game has a T-Rex in? Which fucking Mario game, 2D side-scroller, has a fucking T-Rex in?
I know there's a T-Rex in the new one.
Oh, Mario Odyssey.
But not
yeah, I don't think it's in the
2D
ones that he's talking about,
side-scroller, yeah.
but it's still a good meme. Okay, this next one is which Dark Souls boss
is the best
manager. So he's literally taking boss as a literal thing. So which Dark Souls boss would be the best boss? So he does some of them in an insane way.
Why does he have a Hitler moustache?
So he does. Do you want to see the meme at the start of this video?
Go on, I feel like I have to now.
This is part of series 2. So series 1, he had long hair and no beard at all.
Yeah.
And then this is the first episode of like series 2.
Welcome to Unraveled Season 2. You can tell it's a new season because I've grown a mustache and cut my hair. Oh, I'm obviously just kidding. These are both fake. I know how much it would disappoint my friends if I changed my appearance. I'm just kidding again. I'm not your friend, and you have no say over what I do with my body. And speaking of harsh realities, the world of Dark Souls.
That's just how he starts the video.
world
it's
of
so
Dark
fucking
Souls.
good. He's like honestly my favourite person on the internet at the moment. But so I remember the time code 9:31 for this Dark Souls one. So he basically spent the whole entire video talking about every single Dark Souls boss.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind, I've never played
There's a
Dark
lot, I
Souls,
think.
and I watched this whole video.
Yeah, nice.
Because of him, because he's amazing. So he's done it on a scale from good, like there's something like good boss and bad boss, pretty much. But then it's good boss with HR complaints and good boss without HR complaints, and then bad boss with HR complaints and bad boss without HR complaints. And the bad boss with HR complaints, is about to be the next section that he does. So this is what he's going to say.
Y'all ready for the stinkers? You thought we had some pretty bad bosses up to this point, but we haven't even hit the depths of bad bossery. We're about to hit the blight town of HR, Vendrick. Dude, you gotta wear more than a loincloth to work. Chaos Witch Quelaag and Scorpioness Najka are nude from the waist up, and nude from the waist down. Y'all, we have leftover shirts from the softball game. Can you just go into the bathroom and put one of those on, please?
I just love the fact that instead of just saying naked, he says nude from the waist up and nude from the waist down. Because I think that would only benefit people like me that haven't played Dark Souls, that have no idea who these characters are. Like, people that have played Dark Souls would make it, like, they'd understand the meme before it happened, but I was just like, oh, so it's only nude from the waist up and the nude from the waist down. Okay, so this one is fucking...
Sonic
this
Bible.
Is amazing. So, these are the first couple of episodes of Unraveled, this one and the Zelda one, and it's basically him going insane, like, discovering some sort of, like, hidden thing that he didn't think was a possible, like, outcome.
Yeah.
So, in this video, he talks about the tenets of the Sonic Bible, where in the first Sonic game, in the, like, leaflet that you'd get, it describes all the points that would, like, that describe Sonic's backstory. So then he then goes through every Sonic game, and every Sonic game that doesn't abide by these rules isn't an actual Sonic game.
Nice.
But he realises technically there's no actual Sonic game. And there's lots of rules that don't make sense, like he goes faster than the speed of light, which they changed to speed of sound, which actually is possible and would make sense. But speed of light is, like, insane. So he's gone on, like, some kind of massive mind tangent.
From that way you've paused it looks like he's just uncovered something massive.
Yeah, so he's basically about to be comparing Sonic to a god, and this whole entire, like, quote is the best thing in the world.
Because if a hedgehog could commune with the dead, be resurrected, run with infinite energy, and have his gospel prophesy the future, then either Sonic is a god or could kill God, and I do not care if there is a difference!
I'm scared.
And then, wait for it, because obviously he's gone fucking insane. You can see there's, like, a good minute or half of the video left, and you're like, what else could be happening?
Hello, friends. I'd like to take a moment now and apologize for my recent outburst. I've taken some time and cooled down since the filming of this video, and though I suppose I could have just not uploaded it to YouTube, I decided it would serve well as a cautionary tale. You see, taking lore to be purely
and then
literal,
he just, like,
whether
takes the
that's
craziness and just, like, a little aside thing. It's just,
Guy's bonkers.
like, the way he's crafting these videos is fucking amazing.
You paused it at a really good point as well. You paused it, like, just before
the
their
pause.
pause. Yeah.
I know. And that you can tell how much I've prepared.
Yeah.
And then this final video is him trying to solve the Zelda timeline. So, I don't know if you know,
Good luck.
the Zelda official timeline was released from Nintendo, I think a couple of years ago. And it was chronologically analysing all of the Zelda games that have happened, the main series Zelda games that have happened. And it kind of went Zelda, 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 Zelda until Ocarina of Time, and then it's bridged into 3 different realities. One was, I think one was just Zelda stays as a kid and doesn't bother with anything, and then Ganon ends up taking over and he has to deal with it when he's older. Or Zelda wins. Zelda wins. Have I been saying Zelda this whole time?
You have.
Oh my god, I feel like such
Link.
a fucking idiot. I meant Link. Oh my god.
You know, you're just doing a meme.
I was just doing a meme, obviously. I knew I was
To be
saying
fair, I went along with it. I was like, what the fuck you on?
So-
Well, I'll just go with it.
There's one where Link loses and loses to Ganondorf, one where Link wins and beats Ganondorf, and one where Link doesn't really give a fuck. I'm pretty sure. They're like the 3 timelines. I've got that wrong, but it's close to that. The first 2 were definitely right. So it doesn't really make much sense when you go later down the lines trying to analyse where the games go, because they make sense. The games make sense in their own universe. But if you try and add all the games together, it doesn't make any sense. So Brian David Gilbert fucking has tried to combine every single bit of Zelda anything into this one thing, including like all the Zelda board games, all the Zelda fucking like Smash Brothers and all that kind of stuff, the Zelda TV series that was really, really shit.
Bruh.
Like, he's combining it all into one timeline. That's why it looks fucking shit. And as the video goes on, the light in the video gets redder and redder because it signifies how fucking insane he's going. And then it gets to this point, which is fucking amazing. So throughout the video, he's been saying that there's one thing that he's left out that is like the missing piece in the Zelda timeline that makes everything make sense.
Okay.
And he's about to talk about it.
We're going to find out what that is.
We're going to find it out right now.
Link knows about every timeline, and he's done hanging out with his friends here in the time break. So what does he do? He decides to settle down, get a real job. And what can he do better than anyone else? That's right, he knows every location in every timeline. I'm talking location. He gets his real estate license. He buys up every land, he consolidates every timeline, and pushes it all into one space. How does he do it? Legend of Zelda Monopoly. The most important Legend of Zelda game of all time. The one that makes Breath of the Wild make sense. Reggie,
He's not
take
wrong.
fucking notes. I just saved your ass with Monopoly. This is the pin that holds the entire Zelda timeline together. You made me use Monopoly.
That's the end of the fucking video. It ends with, you made me use Monopoly.
Brilliant. You made him.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, Reggie, take notes.
So, hello, Jamie.
Hello. Sorry, I know you're probably still mid-bonus reaction.
We just finished bonus reactions, actually. You caught us right at the end.
But you haven't happened to have, jokingly hid my controller anywhere for my Xbox, have you?
You asked me this yesterday when we were playing Minecraft. I said no.
Okay. Can you ask Will?
I haven't, no.
Fuck, what the fuck?
I take it you've lost it.
I don't know where the fuck it is, mate. I've literally, searched everywhere in the house.
Maybe.
Is this all part of the pod? Are you recording this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if anyone will even be listening this far. So say hello.
Hello, podcast.
Hello, Codcast.
Hello.
Is there a film you've seen that we haven't seen, Jamie? I know we were talking about this before, but it doesn't even have to be recently. Just name a film that you don't think we would have seen.
How to Train Your Dragon 3.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. Have you seen it, Will? Have
No.
you seen any of the How to Train Your
I've seen
Dragon?
the first two.
Okay, so have I, but I've not seen number 3. That's perfect.
Sick. There we go.
So,
I don't know why I didn't think of that before.
yeah, fucking Mong. That came out recently as well, definitely within the last 6 months.
Did.
We had a whole
Oh,
phone call
100%
about it.
within the last 6 months, yeah. I don't know why I didn't remember that.
Alright, well, just because you're an idiot, you don't get to say anything else on the podcast.
Toothless grows teeth. The
Bye. Good meme.
end. Hey, shall we do the outro?
Thank you very much for watching. Let's do the outro.
Heads or tails?
Tails! Just dropped on the floor.
It was heads! It was heads.
It's the First Reaction Podcast. First Reactions Podcast.
That's the intro.